Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Think Tank community, a place for all passionate players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. It is just going to be my partner and me, Jeff Lavecchio. We're going to talk about the 10 biggest things that we've learned this year in youth hockey. And we're wrapping up on the season. This is season 2 of us doing the Youth Hockey Organization Blueprint with the Hockey Think Tank, where we work with youth organizations all over North America. And man, what an amazing experience that was. We met so many great people and had the ability to have some positive impact in a lot of different places around North America, and learned so much through the process, through being able to collaborate with so many passionate hockey people. So we're going to talk a lot about that here today. Before we do, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, the one Jeffrey Jehu Lavecchio. Vex, what's up today, my man?
Oh yeah, dude, I can't lie. I'm super jacked up right now.
Are you jacked up because of your new facility?
Yeah, dude, there's no reason for me to be over there every day. I am completely finding a reason to be there every day. I'm like, oh my God, they covered that little tiny hole. That's all they did today. But I'm like, yes, let's go. But painting started, what's today? We're recording on Wednesday. Painting started on Tuesday, and they've already got like half of this massive space painted. They use like a big, gun type of thing. And so I got to be in there and watch that. And big news, we might be putting in a golf simulator. Yeah, possibly. I'll find out at 3:15 today if that's a possibility or not. So the pro guys will absolutely love that. I'm actively... Yeah, I know, and they'll never leave. And I'm also trying to recruit Lounsey to run some camps for his high-level NHL guys out of St. Louis, since I have this dope facility that's going to be ready this summer too. So, yeah, man, I'm just jacked up. And it's the end of the year here, so playoffs. For all the local kids that I train at TPH and for Maryville University, it's all playoff time for them. So super exciting.
Speaking of playoff time, your boy T. Freddy is going to be going for a cup here in Edmonton, eh?
Let's go, dude. Let's go. Super excited for him. Super excited for him to get a new opportunity here and run with it. It's going to be badass.
There we go. Well, the Hockey Think Tank, we actually, I don't know if you saw this on social media yet, but we're in the Boston Globe, man. We're in the Boston Globe.
Did not see that because I live in St. Louis. So
yeah, it wasn't like an article on us, but it was an article on youth hockey in Massachusetts and how it has changed so much over the past couple decades. And if anybody's in Mass or knows Mass hockey, like it's not in a great spot right now, to say the least. And so Boston Globe did a series of articles on youth hockey in Massachusetts. So they called us up and we gave some input on what we know, not necessarily just in Massachusetts, but in just youth hockey in general. And yeah, got into the Globe article. It was really well done. The guy who wrote it was a guy named Matt Porter, and myself and Matty Thomas. Matty's from around that area, so he knows that area really well, a guy that we work with here at the Hockey Think Tank. And so thanks to Matt for writing those articles. And again, it's just more things out there to help try to create some change and some more positivity in youth hockey, man. It's going off the rails, dude. Like, it's going off the rails. I know this time of year is always the hardest. This silly season, everybody's jockeying for positioning for next year and all the uncertainty that comes within this time of year. But man, like, the amount of messages that I'm getting from concerned coaches, parents, referees, like it's off the rails, dude. And we need to be better, man. Like, we as a hockey community, we need to be better. And this is the thing I say all the time, right? Like, so many people, the majority of people in youth hockey are great people. And it's the vocal minority few and just the machine of what hockey has become, and people not wanting to stick their neck out there to do things different for fear of repercussions, whether it's for their kid or for themselves. It's really led to just a lot of toxicity, man. And it's bad. So anything that we can do to help, like, we're here, and we just, as a hockey community, we got to be better.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's really tough to see. like you always say there's so many good people in hockey, and there's just like a few boners that ruin it for everybody. And it just like, and it's
You know what's
I
really
think
hard though? Or go
all
ahead.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I have seen over the last 6 years of doing our show now, I feel like we're getting not you and I think, yeah, we are getting through to people, but I think there's a bunch of people that have kind of all been fed up at the same time. And like, we got to get this thing back on the rails. And I had somebody DM me recently that's a show listener saying that, like, it's bad and it's bad, but I see more people wanting to right the ship. More people are seeing like, it's not great for kids, and this isn't conducive to like help them be better people, and things like that. And so I don't know. I'm really hoping that as more people are waking up to seeing like this is kind of toxic here, like let's get back to what this game is all about.
Yeah.
I think we're getting closer to there. I hope.
Well, I mean, the game can only be so expensive at some point, right? Like there's got to be some kind of tipping point where people are like, enough is enough. And it's actually really funny. So I had a conversation with somebody in the NHL that's kind of high up in management for an NHL team today. And you're seeing some of the ills of youth hockey filter into college and then filter even into the pros. Even look at like specifically, we were talking about college hockey and how the transfer portal is here to stay and how that's changed things a lot. Well, the transfer portal is the same thing as youth hockey. He was talking about like the life lessons that we teach kids. Well, in youth hockey, if you don't like your coach or you don't like your play, you're just going to go to another organization. Well, that's not a life skill that we want to be teaching our kids. Like it's no, like, yeah, you fight through it, and obviously there are situations where you need to get out. No, there's no question. And going to a new organization because the one that you're in is toxic, that's completely valid. But people move just to move now. The grass is greener on the other side. Again, it's a recruitment type of model that we live in, not a development type of model. And so you're seeing some of that stuff filter, into, it's almost like a trickle up effect into that, because now teams and kids are like less loyal than they used to be. People don't want to work through the tough stuff as much anymore as they used to when that wasn't a thing. So yeah, man, it's unfortunate. We got to do some stuff to continue to move the needle. And it's funny because he asked me, he's like, well, how can we change it? Like how can we change it? How can we change the culture of where we're at today? And it's a really interesting question. And I'd love to hear your take on this, but I feel like there's a couple different things, but these are a lot easier said than done. Number one, I think you have to start at the youngest of ages. And I don't want to say like kids 10 and up right now, like it just is what it is for them, but change takes a long time. And if you want to implement change, you got to start with the grassroots and kind of move up with parent education, coach education, things like that. The second thing is just like rules from like USA Hockey, but I know as an affiliate member of USA Hockey within Illinois, like it's hard to regulate because of, people with a lot of money will sue you if they don't like it, if it's not in the best interest of their kid. And that has happened a lot. And also there's like, if we're being honest, there's AAU out there and there's a threat of people just like leaving USA Hockey and going to other entities. Right. So like, when you talk about regulating, it's really hard to do that. And I think the better approach is more like collaborating and education rather than like top down, you have to do things this way. Again, like idealistic world, like if I had the keys to the kingdom and people at USA Hockey had keys to the kingdom, Hockey Canada, whatever, and we can mandate community models to a certain extent, that's just not possible. That's not possible at the end of the day. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I agree with, we have to start at the youngest of ages. There's no doubt about that. Like you have talked about on the podcast quite a bit, I think that every organization needs to like create kind of their Bible, create their 10 commandments, create whatever you want to call it, create their like list of like, these are the things that this organization stands for. And I'm not talking about wins or losses. I'm talking about like life stuff. Like we want to teach kids responsibility. We want to teach kids how to be a good teammate and teamwork. We want these things that are just like really, really, giving back to the community is going to be a pillar of this organization. And that means that we're going to do this on Thanksgiving, and we're going to do this type of thing. We're going to do toy drives. We're going to try and give back to the community, like things like that. I think that all organizations need to like really set, these are the pillars of this organization, and all of our coaches are trying to get these messages through to these kids just as much as X's and O's in hockey. I think that kind of would solve a whole lot of problems if then we're holding people accountable to those standards,
Yeah.
constantly teaching those standards. And I think everything would start to right itself in a few years, because like you said, you're starting at the youngest of ages. They're hearing that at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, every year till they leave for juniors at 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever that means. And now it's just a foundation of who they are. And they're always going to be the hardest worker, and they're always going to respect every rink they're in and clean up and, not pee on the toilet seat and leave it there and walk out in the lobby. Like, dude, some of these rinks I go to, the bathrooms that people leave them in, like, I'm literally disgusted, both as a parent, as a coach, and as a son. My parents would have murdered me if I treated spaces like that. My coach would have murdered me. And now me as a coach, I would murder my players if I ever saw them leave locker rooms like we find all the time now at rinks. And that's just something that can be chopped off at the youngest of ages by starting the right way with like the correct foundation and pillars, and then actually executing on those as an organization.
Yeah, I love that. I love that big time. It starts at the ground level for sure. The other thing I was thinking about too is like, it's going to take somebody doing something differently and having success with that in a different way.
Yeah.
So for like example, let's just think about like the Minnesota model and the AAA model, right? The community model and kind of where everybody else is at right now. Like let's say in Michigan, there is kind of like a before and after team, kind of like what you have in Minnesota. You have your elite league, in the fall, and then you go to do your high school season, and then you have some AAA stuff in the spring. But like you're playing high school. Like let's say the high school team, or this before and after team in Michigan, they play against a Little Caesars and they beat Little Caesars. Like, does that kind of, I don't know what the word is, but does that lessen the allure of the AAA model? And again, like I'm not opposed to the AAA model. Like I'm a product of the AAA model. It's just been bastardized so much where you can't play hockey above 14U at an elite level, quote unquote, elite level, for less than 20 grand nowadays in 90% of the country. That's not right. So like, I think about that, like in Detroit or in like Chicago. Imagine if you had one of the AAA organizations who did this before and after kind of thing, and then they end up beating the AAA teams in the state tournament.
Right.
Like that's another way to just kind of proof of concept. But
I think they should switch to the before and after model here in St. Louis, man. And I've never said that before out loud. But now, seeing what Minnesota does, kids love playing high school hockey here in St. Louis, but like the high school hockey, the high school hockey in AAA, like they're better recently. But a few years ago, like I would have to go to war on Twitter to be like, this is so stupid. Like having these seasons go at the same time. We got kids that are
they're on the ice 10 times a week.
We had some guys skating. We had some guys skating like 15 times a week. Like three AAA games, 2 high school games, 2 or 3 high school practices, 3 AAA practices, school. Like it was, and it's all the kids who go to the private schools who have the most homework. Like their stress levels were just like crazy. Like I think St. Louis should now go to the before and after, because it will make AAA so much cheaper.
Yeah.
That and then they can actually focus on being in the gym if they're only focusing on one team season. And I don't know, I'm gonna start talking about it here, I think, especially with the success Minnesota has.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of did that when I was up in New York in like the Syracuse, Rochester area. One of the years I teamed up with Chris Collins, who runs BK now. We've had him on the podcast. Man. Great dude. And we did kind of like a before and after thing, and we almost had two paths. So we had one path, which was, everybody kind of went hard from end of August till November when the high school season started. And high school hockey in New York it's not great, to say the least. Nothing again, like it's just
compared to AAA.
You know what I mean? I don't want to put kids down, but it's
Yeah.
Hockey is not AAA hockey, let's just say. So then in November, we had two paths. One path was individual, or not individual, but like small group training. So if you didn't have a high school to play for, or you didn't want to play high school hockey, you'd go up to Evolve where Chris's rink was and work with their skill guys, 3 times a week, whatever it was. So it wasn't like team practices. You're actually getting small group stuff that can make you better. And then we had this other route where you just played high school hockey. And we would practice once every couple weekends, on a Sunday and go play in some showcases once or twice a month from like November to February. And it was actually really good because some kids needed to go play high school. It was better for their development. Some kids, it was better for them to be a little bit more narrow path skills type stuff. But the funniest part was the two kids that have made it the furthest were two kids that at juniors in high school played New York high school hockey for the year. Like they didn't go the training route. So Hunter McDonald signed an NHL contract. He's playing in the AHL right now. And he played with us and then high school hockey for his team. I think it was Fairport. And then Zach Bookman. Zach Bookman is a stud defenseman for Merrimack right now. And I've gotten calls from NHL teams about him. And he's probably going to sign an NHL contract at the end of the year. Anthony Angelo, who I recruited to Cornell, played high school hockey junior in New York in the Syracuse area. So like, again, like that's the thing that we always try to talk to people about is like, there's not one right path. Everybody has a different path. And for anybody to tell you or your kid that like, you have to do this to get there, they're just either ill-informed or lying at the end of the day. And so there's a lot of different paths. And again, what I fear in a way is that so much of these community paths are going to be thought of as an afterthought. So then all the kids that do end up making it are from this crazy path where you have to specialize at 4 years old, because those are the only options that people feel like they have to do to get there. But that's just not the case. That's just not the case. And so, yeah, man, like, I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but like, everybody's got a different path. And one of the ways, I guess this is where it came from, like that we can see change is if people actually do things to change and then they have some success with it. And unfortunately, success is going to mean wins and losses, unfortunately. And that's where I was talking to this guy, this NHL guy too, like, it's going to take like the parents of the best players to not go to the crazy for it to change too. Because so much, and I'm sure the people listening who are in youth hockey right now, so much of what happens is relied upon what the best players do. So like if the best players jump, let's say they're 8 years old and they go play Mite AAA the next year, or Squirt Minor AAA the next year, then it's going to leave a wake and a path with the organization they left where everybody's going to be like, oh my God, we're not going to be good anymore. And and then everybody just goes absolutely insane. And then everybody thinks that they need to jump now. Whereas if the parents of the best players, like just stick with it, and you don't need to make that jump fast and they stay in their community, that's going to keep people in their community too. So a lot of it, honestly, it's a weird thing to say, but it is incumbent on what the best players' parents do. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I agree. But I think that another, like, yes, because that's just what always happens with everything. Oh, that's the best kid, whatever he's doing, we should do. But what I think parents need to actually put more stock into is who's improving the most.
100%.
Not because like, Paul Stastny was always going to be Paul Stastny. Like I played with him starting in like 4th grade, maybe 5th grade. I don't know. And he was amazing back then. And you could just see that he saw the game completely different than everyone else at every stage that I played with him. Squirt, Pee-wee, Bantam, midget, junior, college, NHL. You just see like, just special talent. So like, yeah, you've got that, but then you got other guys who I grew up with, like Joey Vitale, who was like good, but like he wasn't like guaranteed to be this unbelievable player, but oh well, he played high school hockey, and that gave him the love of high school back, and like, oh, look how much better he got after he did that for a year. Whoa, that's pretty, that's really interesting. And so, you got to look at like, if kids, a bunch of kids are all doing something and they're all getting way better than they were, not just they're always been the best, that's also something you need to look at and be like, well, maybe whatever they're doing is working because all these kids are getting better. And like Toph always says, a big part of that is loving the game. Kids love to play on their high school team. I loved high school hockey in St. Louis in the games that I played. I just didn't play against like the really bad teams because I wanted the other guys to play, and I didn't care if we were going to win 14-0. That didn't do anything for me. I wanted to be playing when we were playing the best teams, and I knew that all my babes from my school were going to be in the stands, and I could try and impress them. Freshman on varsity, what up?
Oh my God, you're such a loser.
Yep.
He's like, yep.
Yep.
But even think about it, even Stas. Like I go back, it was funny. I was looking at some stuff and I went all the way back to, remember when we were in like Select 15, Select 16, all that stuff.
Yep.
And I went back because I wanted to see like at our Select 15, like what the USHR rankings were, like where guys got ranked. And it was so funny because you signed an NHL contract, Stas, you guys were like at the bottom of the list. Like you weren't like the studs at 15. Like even though we knew Stas was going to be really good, he wasn't there yet.
No.
And then you look at like some of the top players, and you never like you're like, oh my God, that's right. Like he used to be really good, and like didn't even play college hockey. Yeah. And so there's just so much that goes into it, and like I said, if there's going to be some change, it's going to take some people doing some things differently and having the courage to kind of do it differently and be okay with whatever the consequences may be, but then proof of concept, do a really good job doing that. And then eventually and everybody wants a quick fix. Change doesn't happen that way. If you want to do something different, you're probably not going to succeed to the extent that you want to succeed right away. But just if you believe in something as much as you do, and you really go after it and put everything you have into it with conviction, like people will follow that. People will follow that.
And then the other part of that too is like whatever way you're going about it, like the people that are coaching, training, running these organizations, like offer value, offer more value. You want this to be the training model that works because we know that it's going to be better for kids. Offer more value. If you're playing less games, spend some money on bringing in a nutritionist and getting kids to learn about nutrition and sleep. Bring in a sports psychologist once a month or once every couple months to do some activities with the kids so they learn about positive self-talk. Like actually develop them. Do real off-ice training, not a random coach who's just running it, like, and doesn't really understand like how to do that and what that looks like over the long term and for what we need to do today. Like instead, if you're going to play less games or do this, whatever, like just offer more value and just do it better than everyone else. I don't know. I just feel like I don't care what level you're at. That should be your goal. I don't know.
Put the kids first. Work hard for them. Yeah.
Be better.
Okay. So we went off on a bit of a tangent there, but hopefully
but I liked it.
Yeah. But we're going to get into the top 10 things that I learned about youth hockey this year. And first though, we do have some people to thank, Jeffrey.
Let's thank them.
I want to thank our title sponsor, IceHockeySystems.com. Go to IceHockeySystems.com today. It is the best website out there for all your coaching education needs. I'm talking thousands of drills. I'm talking whiteboard explanations from really high-level hockey people on everything from systems and structure and concepts and habits. Also have the ability to go in, draw your drills up, create a drill library for yourself, send them out to your team before practice so they're prepared to go. And also, we have partnered with them to do an associations platform where you can get this for every single coach within your organization for an incredibly low price. So go to IceHockeySystems.com today, look up the associations platform, and it is a huge value add. Jeffrey, go.
Would like to thank Train Heroic. You guys know Train Heroic is the amazing app that allows me to train so many players, teams, organizations all across the country. Actually, just agreed to train another NCAA Division I university this upcoming season. So really excited about that. Train USHL teams, a couple of Division III teams, NAHL teams, USHL teams, little kid teams, at-home workouts for young players. All right, like this app has changed my life and the amount of players that I am able to impact positively by training smarter and harder. So I cannot thank Train Heroic enough. If you are a team and want quality online training for your entire team, whether you're in the gym or doing workouts at a field, I can help you. Please reach out to me. My goal is just to make a massive impact with this side of my business. So thank you to Train Heroic for that.
There we go. Also want to thank Helios Hockey. Go to helioshockey.com today and check it out. What is it? It is a sensor that you put in your shoulder pad that gives you real-time data, real-time feedback on your play, specifically when we're talking about your stride mechanics, stride length, and what the kids absolutely love, a hustle score. A hustle score. Every time that you move, this thing lights up and it attracts to whatever video that you have, whether it's LiveBarn, whether it's a iPhone, whether it's a camera, whether it's an iPad, whatever, it links up with whatever video you're using so you can get that right after your game. Imagine that, Vex. Cut up shifts for you after your game that you can watch on the car ride home. Not too bad.
I had a AAA coach reach out to me today asking me, what do you think about this? I go, they sponsor the pod, bro. A, love them. B, are you kidding me? They do this, and this. And I explained it all what it does. And he goes, okay, you sold me. I'm buying it right now. So, yeah, dude, like I would have loved this thing when I was a kid.
Yep. So go to helioshockey.com and check it out. Also want to thank Crossbar. Crossbar is an end-to-end software solution that can help you to streamline your operations for your youth hockey club. And what does it have? Like, honestly, the website, very clean looking, very easy to use, which for people who are not technologically sound like myself and my podcast partner over here, very, very helpful. Also, you can do registration, everything from your entire season to, drop-ins and clinics and lessons. There's a scheduler that you can use. There's a 5-star communication app that you can communicate with your families, financial, volunteer, facility management, man, like everybody that I know that has made the switch over to Crossbar to do their club operations has been so incredibly happy that they've done so. So go to crossbar.org today and check that out. Finally, thank you to all of you. We love you guys. Why we continue to grind out this podcast. If you could do us a solid, the only thing that we would ask for in return is if you could, anywhere you see us on your podcast app or on social media, shoot us some likes, comments, download our episodes, shoot us ratings or reviews wherever you're at on your podcast apps. Just goes a long way to legitimize the podcast. And we want to get into as many ears as we can to help spread the positive messages that the Hockey Think Tank is all about. So if you could do that for us, we would absolutely love you for it. And with that, Vex, are you ready to rock and roll today? 10 of the biggest things I've learned this year.
Can't wait.
What?
I said I can't wait. I was trying to be dramatic. Trying to be dramatic. Yes, let's get it.
You're such a drama queen.
Trying to be.
Okay. So a lot of this list comes from, so we're obviously between Vex and I, very active on social media and we love talking to you guys through DMs and stuff. But also we do this youth hockey organization blueprint where there's 16 different youth hockey clubs from all different shapes and sizes and levels that we worked with this year. Really getting into the nitty gritty and on the ground level with them and helping them to help function and operate better, being a resource for them when they have questions and issues. And the biggest things that we do is the way that we see a youth organization is in 4 pillars. So you have like your club leadership, right? Which is your board of directors, your hockey director, your president. And then you have your 3 other pillars of your coaches, your players, and your parents. And so what we do is we come in and we work with all 4 of those pillars, leadership, helping them to streamline their operations, helping them to operate a little bit more efficiently, helping them on bigger picture issues, on things like tryouts and grievance procedures, codes of conduct, all that different type of stuff. And then we do a ton of coach education, ton of parent education. And then when we work with the kids, we focus on life skills It's all about life skills. And how can these skills that you're learning in hockey help you to be better in life outside the rink? And how are things that you're doing outside the rink can help you to be a better hockey player? And so I'm sure as we get into this, some of this stuff, we'll talk about some of the other things that we do, but like that's the basis of kind of where this top 10 list is coming from. So number one, and I think this is the most important one, is the biggest thing that I've learned is that there are so many great people in hockey. There are so many great people involved in hockey at all levels, from the grassroots house league levels all the way up at like learn to play, learn to skate type stuff, all the way up through the NHL. We as a hockey culture are struggling right now. It's not because of the people. It's because of a select few people, and it's because of the behemoth of a machine that's been created within youth. Not just a youth hockey problem, youth sports, where it's now become a business, and that is at the basis of a lot of our issues. But again, like we get DMs and we talk to people all the time through social media and email. Again, working on the ground floor with these 16 different organizations as well. Like I have learned so much. And they have made the hockey think tank so much better. And just meeting these people and seeing what they do and volunteering their time and what they do for the kids, man. Like, so for everybody that's out there listening, if you found our podcast, like you deserve a huge thank you. You deserve a huge thank you for all that you're doing in the youth hockey world or the hockey world, you know, at the higher levels too, if that's where you're at. We wouldn't have a sport without your time and effort and sacrifice. And so for me, like the biggest takeaway from doing Hockey Think Tank full time now and all the people I've been able to interact with is that, like, man, there are so many good people in hockey.
Making me emotional right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like as you're saying that, I'm thinking about just this season, all of the amazing people behind the scenes that I come in contact with and that give their time, give their energy, you know, for zero pay. A lot of them, some of them for, you know, hilariously low pay, and nobody's doing it for the money, and they're all just trying to, you know, make the game better for the kids, make the experience better for the kids. You know, some are trying to leave positive legacies for their organization. You know, they've told me those in those exact words. There's just, there are so many good people.
100%. And it takes a village. It takes a village. Any player that's ever done significant things, or even any player that's just had a great experience in this game, they didn't do it alone. They've had mentors. They've had great people in their corner. They've had great coaches, parents, teammates, the families of teammates. It really does take a village. And that's why we talk about it all the time, man. The best thing that you can do for your kid is to surround them with good people. And I'm not even talking about hockey knowledge. I'm talking about just good people that will help them be better human beings. And that's another thing that gets lost in the conversation. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about kind of like what it takes to quote unquote make it. Talent is important. You have to have God-given talent. You have to have good coaching. You know, you have to have luck, you know, at the end of the day to be able to achieve the highest levels. But you have to have life skills. You have to have life skills. I'm sorry. Like, if you're not a resilient person, you're not going to play high level hockey. You're not. You know, if you don't have understand commitment and consistency, you're not going to be a high level hockey player. Are there going to be a few kids that are just that talented that do it? Yes. But like, so much of the making it conversation is centered around hockey stuff, which I'm not going to downplay. You need the hockey stuff. How many players did you play with, Vex, that had 100% the talent to play in the NHL, but didn't play in the NHL because they didn't have the life skills?
Oh, so many. It's actually crazy. It's a lot, but like that's like when even getting into pro, like when I played in the coast, you know, you'd see some guys was like, why is that guy there? And then you spend an hour with him off the ice and you're like, oh, that's why. You know, same in the American League, or like guys who didn't even sign pro
same in
contracts.
College hockey, same in junior hockey. Like,
it's crazy. It's crazy, you know, and it's like, how many of them have you had the conversation with? Like, dude, like, why are you acting this way? Or why are you living this way? Like, what? Like, you should be here and your trajectory
It's
is
because they didn't
there.
have the life skills
Yeah,
and
no
and
mentors.
and mentors. And honestly, like when you talk about the life skills part of it, that's where, and we say this a lot on the podcast, you have to hold your highest, like your better, best players to the same standards as everybody else. Because if you're not, if you're like, oh, I don't want to hold this best player accountable for because they're going to leave our organization, or I'm going to piss them off, or whatever it may be, like you're setting that kid up to fail when they get older, because you're not teaching them resilience. You're not teaching them the value of how to earn things. You're not teaching them the value of how important practice is to your development and getting better. Because eventually kids are going to catch up to talent. You know, the kids that have those life skills are going to catch up to the kids with the talent that don't. And I've seen it a million times, a million times. So back to what we're talking about here. Like there are so many good people in hockey, and just like make sure you're surrounding your son or your daughter with people that are going to help them to obviously develop on the ice with the hockey stuff, but there's got to be a life skills component and teaching them that stuff as well.
100%.
So
And part of that, like the easiest way I do it, I'm given this the lesson of whatever I'm teaching about at that moment, and I literally am just like this is gonna happen when you're later in life.
yeah,
It's like every day I'm saying that to them. Like you pay attention to details in here, you do it on the ice, you're gonna do it in school, you're gonna do it at work when you're older. All these things are why you're gonna be successful. Like it's pretty simple to like add them in. You just got to, think about like this is a core part of what our organization wants to do. Like we talked about earlier, is teach these valuable life skills.
100%, man. 100%. Okay. Ready to move on to number two? Number two. So the best organizations that we work with, one of the biggest consistencies that we see is a camaraderie between the coaches within their organization. So like the coaches get along, whether it's a physical like coaches room that they get into and everybody kind of, it's like you're back in a locker room, or whether it's like a metaphorical one where like just people are always up for, like helping each other out in practice and filling in for different spots and, doing different things with different teams and split ice practices. Like when there's a camaraderie within the coaches, that's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal. And it's funny. I was talking to Gino Cavallini, who runs the Mission. I was talking to him like a month ago, and I was kind of talking to him about the Mission and stuff. And they've been kind of like the gold standard ish for youth hockey at the AAA level for a long time. And I was asking him about some of the things that they do really well. And he was like, honestly, like one of the coolest things for me is when I go on the ice for practice at, let's say 5:30 or 6:30, and the coaches who were on the ice before they come into the coaches room, and then I come into the coaches room after my practice an hour later, and those coaches are still there and they're talking hockey and talking shop with the coaches who are about to go on the ice after me. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so when there's a camaraderie within the coaches and the club gives support to their coaches, that goes such a long way. And one of the things that we do when I travel and work with organizations in person, we'll do a coaches collaborative workshop, and it's so much fun. Like we have fun. It's usually informal, we'll get some adult beverages and some pizzas, and it's just, we have a lot of fun with it. And always afterwards, the coaches are like, man, we got to do this more. we got to do this more. Now, is there a part of it where it's like, there's some coaches obviously in every organization where like, I don't need that stuff. I'm good. Like I got enough on my plate. I know what I'm doing. I don't need any of it. But like, it's the camaraderie part of it with the coaches that like, and again, I tell every time I go and I work with teams, I tell them part of my why with what I do with the Hockey Think Tank is to make sure that the logo on the front of the jersey means something again. So much of youth sports nowadays is tailored on making it and what have you done for me lately and how can you get me to the next level? And it's the name on the back. But again, nobody ever did anything alone. Like you need people to push you and challenge you and help you and guide you and support you. And when you have coaches that love coming to the rink, they're the people that have the biggest impact on the kids at the end of the day. And so if they love what they do and they cherish the thing on the front of the jersey, that's going to filter down into the kids. If they love what they do and they feel supported, I guarantee you're going to have much better practices and much more engagement with the parents. And so like doing things as a coaching group, maybe it's once a month, maybe it's every other month, you bring in a speaker, you just have like a thank you and put a bar tab down, whatever it is, but like getting the coaches together to build that culture and camaraderie within them, that goes such a long way to having a successful organization. Thoughts?
It just makes a whole bunch of sense to me. And then on top of that too, when you have that type of thing going on, and this is something that like I never understood in the NHL and AHL. Like if you have all your coaches like talking like that, and they're also like all planning and talking about things they're all working on together, like you're able to like create development paths where it's like, okay, at 12U, we want to really focus on this, which is going to lead into 13U, where we're going to be focusing on this, which leads into 14, which, and so it's like, I played in I played in Providence when we did a completely different system than the NHL Bruins were doing. And it's just like, well, why would we be doing something different? If you get called up, something you've been doing for 60 games, you get called up game 61 to the NHL. Now you got to learn a whole new system and do something different. And as a pro, that's part of the gig. Like you got to be able to be adaptable like that. It's not that big of a deal, I guess, but it's like, well, why wouldn't we just be doing the thing that they're doing? Because we're all trying to get to that level. And so then it makes it more seamless for the transition, which then makes the big club better, which is the one that makes all the money. So same thing in youth hockey. Like this is just going to not, obviously it's promoting, coaching, relationships and values and all these things you want to be working on, but you can also just create a better development plan from the times that they come in at the youngest ages to whenever they're going to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more people that kind of you have to talk to and collaborate with. And if you feel comfortable in doing that because of the culture that's being created in the quote unquote coaches room, the better your plan's going to be, because it's not just your thoughts. You're getting good ideas from other people, and talk about mentorship, like people that have done it before, that can give you ideas on how to set up your season and stuff like that. So yeah, man, coaching, education, and just that collaborativeness, it's a big deal. And that's actually one of the coolest things that we do. It's like the highlight of my week is every week we do a coaches call that all of the coaches within our umbrella of organizations that we work with have the ability to come on, and we'll pick a topic and we'll talk hockey, and it's cool. Like people from Calgary are interacting with people from Boston, who are interacting with people with Ohio, and everywhere that we kind of are, which is a lot of different places. So like there's that's kind of cool about what we're able to do too, is kind of create a little bit of that camaraderie with all the clubs that we work with. That's been fun too, to be able to see that. But yeah, man, like the more that organizations can support their coaches and create that culture of camaraderie within it, I just see so many of those coaches be really successful. So, okay. Number three is FOMO is real and parents are overwhelmed. FOMO is real and parents are overwhelmed. And this is where, I think with all the stuff we do, so much of the feedback that we get, like I would say the best feedback is on the parent education stuff that we do. And just having honest conversations about what the journey is and how you can help to support your kid. There's a lot of first generation hockey parents out there who didn't come from hockey playing backgrounds, but their kid got the bug and they're doing it. So now they're trying to support them to the best of their ability. The landscape is changing so much and so rapidly. It feels like over the past, 5 years or so, and the next 5 years too, that parents really are struggling to figure it out. And struggling in how to support their kids. And so I think that just really, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but really supporting the parents, really, really giving them a space to feel like they can be heard, and really educating them on what the organization is about. That goes a long way. Dude, like I've had freaking parents, man, when I do my parent presentation, in tears afterwards, just with either regret of kind of like how they've treated in the process of youth hockey and been maybe a little too hard on them, and their relationship has suffered because of it. Or like, honestly, a couple of tears of relief. like, man, I finally feel heard. Like I see all the stuff that's going on and I know that it's crazy, but like finally somebody's telling me that like, like it's okay to take it slow and that things are a little nuts and whatever it may be. So like the more that we can educate our parents in youth hockey, the less craziness we're going to see. Parents are struggling, man. They're really, really struggling.
I obviously I agree. That's why I do this podcast with you for hours every single week for 6 years. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to, we'll have more on that a little bit later, but just, we got to support our parents better, man. We got to support our parents better. And honestly, like we have to hold parents accountable. We talked about that vocal, crazy minority that ruins it for everybody else. Like we got to start holding those people accountable and say, even if it is the best players of your organization or your team, like do it this way or we're going to leave. Okay. Like see you later. Like good,
TTYN.
Go be somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. So parents, next thing, number four, there are a lot of youth hockey players. There's not a lot of ice available. One of the things that we've learned is that a lot of organizations struggle with ice utilization and just like a lot of trying to fit so many kids into so few ice times. There's a lot of organizations either that we work with or that we've heard from through DMs and stuff that struggle with ice time. And so I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but we certainly do some stuff. But what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, I think obviously something that's been done is, younger players get half ice. I mean, that just makes sense. They're smaller. They don't need as much room out there. Other than that, honestly, like the only thing that I'll probably touch on because I know you have a bunch of points to talk about is like, there's gotta be a better way to build rinks. Like just from an efficiency standpoint of trying to lower costs. I don't know what that looks like. I've never built a rink, but like I would assume lower roofs, like I don't know. Like some of these, like there's a rink here in St. Louis that is $78 million it costs to build it. The ceilings in the lobby are like 3 stories high, and like it's like, dude, to heat and cool this thing year round must be literally astronomical. Like you didn't have to build it that way, and they are hemorrhaging money. Like it's a big problem. It's where the NHL Blues practice out of. So it's just like, well, why did you build it this way? Like, who are you trying to impress? It's a youth hockey rink. Like you just could have made this smarter and it wouldn't have cost as much to operate. So just from a feasibility thing, I think that, that would probably help rinks with money, which then ice would cost less and stuff like that.
Yeah. That most rinks are for-profit driven machines right now. So that's how they're building them. Right. So a couple things as it relates to this. Number one is ice allotment. So there are creative things that you can do to get kids on the ice at certain times and with certain other teams. And we have this whole like ice utilization concepts that Matt Thomas put together, who works with me. And it's amazing. Like literally one of the clubs that we work with, it's a little bit more of a summer program that does a phenomenal job out in the Boston area, Dryland Development Project. What's up, boys and girls? They were able to use some of our ice utilization concepts to actually be much more efficient with how they utilize their ice. And then with that, they were able to have some just real good cost saving measures, and able to use money for other things as it related to their players and their development and stuff like that. And so like you could get creative with putting different teams on the ice at different times and moving some things around. And then the other side of it too is like you said, there's so many teams that are splitting practices now. And so there's a lot more kids on the ice at the same time. And with that, like educating your coaches on running really efficient practices with that small amount of ice that you have. And so like I've said this before, Barry Smith is one of my mentors, and Barry, I took him out to Rochester to work with Bishop Kearney. And we had 2 teams out there, an 18U and a 16U team. And then we had 2 teams out there, a 15U and a 14U. And he was like, no, I want all of them at the same time. all of them at the same time. So we had like 40 kids on the ice. It's one of the best practices I've ever seen. 6 different stations, doing some station-based stuff, splitting the ice and doing some more team-specific type stuff. Like there are ways to do it where you can have a great freaking practice, and you don't need full ice to have great practices. Is it nice to have every once in a while, maybe once a week if you're an older team to get concepts in on your team structure and things like that? Yeah, for sure. But like, I know when I was a Bantam major, my team won the national championship. A third of our practices was on a studio rink. And those were unbelievable practices because we played small area games and had a lot of fun and like just worked on skills. And it was awesome. Not that we didn't do that on the full ice too when we had that, but like we didn't need it all the time. So like ice allotment and how you're getting people onto the ice, and then like having great practice plans for your coaches to help support them with that on when they don't have the ice to be able to go full. Make sense?
That. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So shoot me an email me if this is something that you're interested or something that your club is struggling with, having too many teams and not enough ice. And by too many teams, I don't mean like you should have less, but like for the ice that you have, you don't have enough to go around. So, ice utilization, a big one. Number 5, Vex, number 5. And this is a big one that I see with so many different organizations. And that is the difficulty in communicating with your families at like a mass level. So what do I mean by that? Like whenever you need to, get something out there for things that need to get done, or, maybe you're just trying to hammer home culture type stuff, whatever it is, and how you want to communicate with your families. Like that's really hard because the easiest way to do it is just through mass email. So just send one email, click send, and then it goes to everybody. But in reality, like, do you read a lot of mass emails?
I don't read emails, period.
You don't read emails at all. But like a lot of people just don't read their emails when they're mass emails. And so like, what are different things that clubs can do to potentially communicate with their clubs where people are listening, people are getting the messages and stuff like that? So that's, what are you doing right now? Oh, you have 17. Yeah, I hate that. You have 1,700 unread emails. That I can't believe. I hate that. Like my email inbox needs to be at like 5 or less.
Oh God,
I don't know how you do it.
My text messages were like 400 probably. What did that say?
But just like communicating with your clubs, is that something that you've seen? You've worked with the Junior Blues, like
yeah, for sure.
Whatever.
For sure. But working with a lot of these junior teams, they're all using apps now where you can send it out and it's a lot cleaner. People, if it's an app and they get the notification for the app, they're probably going to be more likely to look at it because they know it's for their kid's team. So like, Crossbar, SportsView, like some kind of app that you can easily message, because you could, as the coach or as the president of the organization, take a video and then send it out to only the families of the team or only the families of this team or the whole organization, or send out something that needs to be said to the whole organization about the nature of what the rink looks like right now. And we need to take pride and responsibility in our own facilities and things like that. And if everyone in the organization is required to be on the app like that, like Crossbar, I think that just simplifies that whole process.
Yeah, totally. Other things potentially that we've kind of seen that could help or work to do this, obviously, like doing preseason parent meetings and parent information sessions are huge. We actually have a preseason parent meeting template that we give to all the clubs that we work with. And if you're interested in that, shoot me an email too. Like I've sent that out for free like before. And I think that's one of the most important jobs of organizations and coaches is to have a really good preseason parent meeting. Do town halls with your parents where they can come in and share their thoughts and ideas. Create a monthly newsletter, right? Create a newsletter that's not just like so matter of fact, but like, hey, these teams are doing really well. And, we're doing this initiative and this and that, like finding ways to also use social media. Parents hate reading emails, but they love being on social media. And so getting your messages and points across, doing that.
So easy.
I think as coaches and as hockey directors or like presidents being on the board, like be in the lobby. like be in the lobby and talk to people, and you can get a really good sense of the vibe and really good sense of what's going on just by physically being in the lobby and asking people questions and stuff. And there are some clubs that we work with that do a phenomenal job of that. And so like there's other ways than mass emails and email communication to get information from your families and from your constituents. And there's better ways to disseminate information too. And one of the things that I think can work really well is using your managers. Like families won't necessarily read a mass email from a hockey director or a president, but they're going to read the emails from the managers because that's much more upfront with what you're doing and much more tangible to the here and now. And so like using the managers to get things across. So like that's one thing that we've tried to do with some of the clubs that we work with that have struggled with this, is to really help them to effectively communicate with their families.
I love that. All those, find what works, find what's easiest. But my favorite one that you said is be in the lobby and talk to people. That's just going to create such a family and culture and positive environment that, you want these people to stay in the organization for years on years on years. Then you want them to have, the kids who played to grow up. If they live in the area, you want them to come back and you want their kids to play, like that's what the game's all about, is that culture and that tradition. And it's something that needs to be worked on. And these are ways you can work on it.
Totally. Okay. Ready to move on?
Hey.
All right. Number 6, board cohesiveness is huge. The board of a youth hockey organization being cohesive and being a working board is really, really important. Why are you laughing?
Just dealt with some that wasn't cohesiveness.
Yeah.
Seen what it does.
Yeah. And so if you have really strong leadership with your board, your president, your hockey director, and the people are on the board for the right reasons, there are some organizations where people get on the board just so they can have some say and some sway into their kid and their kid's stuff. I'm sure you've seen that too. And everybody listens like, yeah, I know those people. But like having a really good board and in a lot of boards, like all over the place, like 10% of the people do 90% of the work. And we talk about it all the time. Like hockey directors are hockey directors in name only. Like they have this hockey director job, but they realize pretty quickly that maybe 10 to 20% of their job is actually hockey. And the rest of it is administrative stuff. And so that's where like the way that we see it and try to help our clubs out is like there's 2 different things that are really important when it comes to running a youth hockey organization. One is the hockey side. And that's educating the coaches, it's player development, it's player life skills, and making sure that the players are in a safe space and environment where they can be the best versions of themselves, right? The hockey side of things. But then there's the administrative side of things. And that is extremely, extremely important too. And if you can put together roles and responsibilities within your board and with some different parent volunteers where you can let the hockey people do the hockey stuff and you can take care of the administrative side and do it in the right way, man, does that help to have an efficient organization at the end of the day. Your kids are going to get so much better because the hockey people are focusing on hockey. And there are a lot of hockey directors that are listening right now that are saying, I could help my kids be so much better if I didn't have to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. And so like, I think having a really good organizational chart of roles and responsibilities for different people who have different responsibilities within the admin side, and then the same thing on the hockey side, that is what I think great organizations do. I don't know how many have that. Where they have this kind of, I don't want to say separation of church and state, like between the hockey and the admin, because they do have to work together a lot as well. But like when you have a really strong hockey side where the hockey people can do hockey things, you have a really strong administrative side where the administrative people can do the administrative things. It's just, it's a huge value add for any organization.
100%. And if you have valuable hockey people that understand the game, have played in the game for a really long time or coached in the game for a really long time, especially if they spent any time at the higher levels, like you got to lean on those people. It doesn't mean that they're right about everything. It doesn't mean they're never wrong, but hopefully, you know, they've learned a ton if they went through every stage of development in their own careers, whether as a player, as a coach, and they can help you, you know, build out the hockey side of it. And then as far as like, you know, some things that I've dealt with different boards over the last, you know, however many years, you know, doing what I do, it's like, I don't know. Some of them I'm like, would you run your business this way? Like, is like, if so, you must not own a business. Like, I don't like some of the decisions that they make. They just literally don't make any sense. And I'm like, how are you coming to this decision? And like, why aren't you doing this or that? Like, you know, so it's just like, make sure on the board, like the people that you accept on the board actually know how to run an organization. Because I've seen good
Or could just
people,
play a role. Or could just play
yeah,
a role.
or
Like
put
you
them in the
might
role that
have
makes
somebody
sense
who
for their
has no
skills.
idea, but they also maybe they have a gift of fundraising, you know, and they
Right,
can help
right.
create events to help fundraise to ease the costs for some of the kids and the families or whatever the operating costs are. You know, maybe you have someone who is really good at organizing tryouts. You know, that doesn't have to necessarily be somebody that knows a ton about hockey, but if they can get people in the right spots and organize it in a way that's efficient and streamlined, like, and so there's all these things that need to happen, and you don't need to be a hockey person to be a very valuable person on a hockey board
Right,
in youth hockey.
right.
And so, but I think it's really important, like give people roles and responsibilities, you know, and clearly articulate what those roles and responsibilities are.
Yes.
The president and the hockey director can hold those people accountable to the things that are given to them, and then you work together as a cohesive unit to make sure that all the I's are crossed and T's are no, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed,
There we go.
and responsibilities are divvied up and delegated to people who are good at that stuff. Because at the end of the day, like hockey directors, a lot of them are not good administratively. They get into the job because they want to coach hockey and teach hockey. And if you can pair them and with people who can do those other things, again, it allows them to do the things that they love to do and are good at.
Right, right,
And the administrative people are good at those things on
right.
that side. Like a hockey director isn't good at, you know, a lot of them at some of the administrative stuff.
Right.
So yeah, anyways. So, okay.
I
So
wanna say
number 6,
I wanna say
number
one more thing.
7. Well,
I
what
wanna
do you
say
got?
one more thing just about, like, boards.
Yeah.
Get alumni involved. Get
Ooh,
alumni involved. Like,
ooh,
these are the people who, looking back, loved their time in the organization, they had pride in it, they formed all these unbelievable memories for their whole life. These are the people that you should be actively recruiting to come back and help and come back and see what the rink looks like now. And yeah, because those are the people who are going to be donating money, you know, like for the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. And, you know, just more money in the organization means you can do better things for the players or build a second sheet so you have more ice for your organization. And so like get your alumni involved and like real simple idea. If you find out that you have a bunch of alumni that own businesses and stuff, reach out to them, make them sponsors of your website, put them on your jersey for low cost because they're alumni. But now, you know, you're talking about your alumni businesses that are owned by businesses in the community that are owned by alumni, you know, like do that for free on your website, get them to want to come back, get them to want to do those things. So like know who your alumni are, know what they're doing in the world now, lean on them, help them get in front of your audience, and they're going to want to give back to the organization. And in that way, everyone's winning and everyone's helping everyone. For me, this is a no brainer that every single organization should be doing, but I see almost none doing it.
100%, man.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like,
We're going to talk about that a little bit too, because
okay,
that's another one of our things.
good,
Good.
good.
Good, great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on
Bus.
the bus. Okay. Number 7, the more work that you do up front at the beginning of the season, the less fires you're going to have to put out during the middle of the season. And so I think it's just really important to really clearly communicate what the standards are and what the boundaries are, and you have to do that with your parents, you have to do that with your coaches, you have to do that with your players too. So like what's the mission of our organization, and literally like at the beginning of the year talking about it, over communicating it. This is who we are. This is how we do things. These are the things we value. This is acceptable. This is not acceptable. And then continue to communicate that stuff throughout the year. Just continue and reinforce it. Like in some of the things, if like parents do something above and beyond that are great, that's got to go up on social media. Like that's got to go up on social media, or it's got to go in a newsletter. Yeah. A team does a community service initiative. Like that's gotta go up on, like, you got to reinforce all the good to keep, the message being the message of who you want your organization to be. And so like twofold. Number one, you have to, at the beginning of the year, set those standards. You have to. And then two, you have to reinforce those standards throughout the year. And are there going to be slip ups? Are there going to be people who do stupid stuff? Are you going to have to hold people accountable for not acting in the right way at times? Yeah, you're going to have to do that. That no organization's ever going to bat 1,000 when it comes to that stuff. However, the more you do upfront in communicating the mission, communicating the values, communicating the standards, the less you're going to have to put out those fires at the end of the year.
100%. 100%. For me, like, this is the same as like what I do in the gym. I coach so hard the first month of the off season, or the first month with like a young group that's never trained me before. I overcoach. I coach so hard. And then guess what? The next 4 months of the off season with those young kids, I don't need to coach nearly as hard, because I set that standard. I set the foundation. I got in front of all the problems right away. I said, this is the way we do things in this gym. This is how they need to be done. And then they're just done from then on up forward. It makes your life so much easier. The same thing here. It's like, and then also people know these are the standards. These are the rules. These are the do's. These are the don'ts. Coaches who, all coaches joke about, the parents, message me, ice time, whatever. Set the standard up front. You do not ever talk to me about your child's ice time, at this level, because, whatever. You want to talk about this or that? Yes, reach out to me. But I will not talk to you about their ice time, like things like that. Now you never need to answer those emails again just because you said it up front.
Yeah. Boom. And set the standard for the coaches of what's acceptable too, right? Like, hey, you should be doing a midseason review with every player on the team. You should be, having a great preseason parent meeting. You should here's the standards of what's acceptable on the bench. Like if you get thrown out of a game for yelling at a ref, you're suspended for 5 games, because that's not what we're about. So like setting the standard with the kids too. Like when you leave a locker room, it's going to be clean. It's going to be clean. Or there's going to be consequences for your team. You might lose a practice. We'll give your ice time to somebody else. The bench minor for yelling at the refs for kids. That means you have to sit for a period. And again, maybe that's a coach specific kind of thing, but like you should have standards for how kids should act and behave as well within your organization. And so again, just setting those standards at the outset, at the beginning, reinforcing, especially the positive stuff as you go throughout the year, just leads to a lot less fires, man. A lot less fires at the end of the day. So that was 100%. That was number 7. Number 8, and we already talked a little bit about this, but what's your life skills plan? What is your life skills plan with your players? At the end of the day, that is one of our most important jobs. And so if you're an organization that like doesn't have one, or doesn't put focus on that, you need to. I think you really need to. And there's always, for me, like I love playing fun games that teach those lessons. I love playing fun games. So like when I go and I travel to work with teams, when I have the younger kids, one of the things that we'll do is we do a thing called the 5 Perfect Jumping Jacks Challenge. And so I got this from a Navy SEAL who came and did this with us at Cornell with our college guys, but it's relatable all the way down. And so in this challenge, what they have to do is they all have to start in kind of like a pencil position. And then they got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do 5 jumping jacks. They all have to be going up. They all have to be going down at the same time. And they all have to stop at the same time. So if somebody does like 6, or somebody like puts their arm up, then it's not perfect and you got to do it again. And so what always happens, it's really hard to do on the first 2 or 3 tries. And so what you'll see is somebody messes up And then everybody be like, Vex, what are you doing? I can't, they like point the finger, like, I can't believe you're doing that. And then eventually a team ends up getting it. It's usually a competition between 2 different teams or 3 different teams or whatever. But then you see how the kids interact with each other. And then you bring everybody in and you say, okay, what did we learn doing this activity that can relate to what you guys are going to see as a team this year? And then one of the kids will undoubtedly say like, when somebody messed up, we all kind of got on them. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So raise your hand for all you kids here. Raise your hand if you're going to make a mistake this year. Everybody raises their hand and say, okay, if you make a mistake and you go back to the bench and your teammates all treat you like you guys treated that teammate who did the wrong thing on the jumping jacks, how would that make you feel? Not very good. Okay, so let's make sure that we have positive bench energy this year. How important is positive bench energy? What's another thing that we can do? Oh, we could say, good job, you'll get them the next time. And they come up with the answers and all that kind of stuff. Same thing, we do this activity where we have the kids sit in a circle and you take a soccer ball or a basketball or something like that, and they have to use their feet to pass it all the way around the circle and the ball can't touch the ground. And so it's always like, it's like kind of hard to do, but it's really fun. And the same thing happens all the time. Somebody will mess up and then everybody will be like, facts, and it's in good fun, but same message, like be a good teammate. What's a good teammate do in that situation? And so like just relating things that you do on the ice or things that you do off the ice to help teach teamwork, to help teach resilience, to help teach, different types of life skills that they'll help them to be better. So yeah, man, like have a life skills program and have it drawn out goes a long way.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That's perfect. I got nothing to add to that.
But you do that stuff in the gym all the time, man. Like
I'm just
you over communicate like the stuff like that is important. Like hey, this is why I'm pushing you really hard, because I have to push you outside your comfort zone. So you become resilient. You work a little bit harder and you have a little bit more in the tank than you thought you would. Like You're very big on explaining the why. And that's what I think a lot of this life skills stuff is all about. It's the why. And you do like a better job of that than anybody else that I know.
Well, for me, like I say all the time on this podcast, like I don't think there's any better practice run, fun metaphor for teaching kids, how to be successful at anything than hockey. I think it is the best teacher. I really do. And so, I just try and always be like, okay, like we're doing this in the gym because this is going to help you in the game. But also, guess what? When you get into the real world and you got to do this type of thing, this thing that you're doing right now is practicing for that thing,
Totally.
and just all the time relating this is to that. And it's the same with the gym. What we're doing here is going to help with that. Like the more you let people know that stuff, the more they start to like internalize that and think about that. And then they're going to start doing like better stuff outside of the gym, outside of the rink, outside of the locker room, because now they're internalizing like, oh, that's why I do that. Like I show up to practice like early because that allows me to prepare better and that allows me to play better. And that goes for hockey. Oh, weird. That also goes for when I take a test at school. Oh, weird. That also goes for my job at 16, oh, weird, boom, 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 boom. And always like relating it back and teaching those things, it just helps them. It's stick in their mind even more and the importance of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Maybe you have like an organizational wide thing where, hey, these are the 5 life skills that we want to make sure that we're talking about all the time. Communication, resilience, consistency, whatever the life skills are that are important to you guys, and make sure that those are plastered up on the walls, and communicated in every email and every newsletter, and coaches are talking about those things. Yeah, the life skills part is a big part of it. So that was number 8. Number 9, and this is something that I don't think we did enough of as it relates to our work with the Hockey Think Tank, but certainly something we're going to do a lot more of in the future and helping clubs to kind of create something like this. And that's mentorship programs throughout the whole organization. And I'm talking about parent mentorship programs where maybe you have a group of parents that is available to all the new parents coming into the organization. And maybe it's not just the coach that's doing the preseason parent meeting, but a parent that was with the club or has been with the club for a long time comes in and talks about their experiences and all the anxieties that they went through or all the great things that happen, and like having some sort of a parent mentorship program where you can welcome in the parents and educate them through that. Coach mentorship, a lot of young coaches are coming in that either haven't been a leader on a team before or haven't been a youth hockey coach before, and they need guidance. I mean, I came into youth hockey coaching college hockey and thought I knew everything, and I knew nothing. Like, it was such a learning experience. And so, like, I think having coach, maybe you pair up a coach that's been with the program with a young coach that's coming up as their assistant, or just somebody, you pair people up, based on different levels, or whatever, like pairing a coach that's done it with a coach that hasn't, so they can learn the ropes a lot faster. And it's not even necessarily maybe the hockey stuff, but just the ancillary stuff of what it takes to, and how to communicate with parents and how to put together practice plans and how to do team building and culture and all. Like, there's so much that goes into it, right? So, like, having some sort of coach mentorship program, having a player mentorship program. Maybe you do something where once a month you do joint practices, but it's with like an 18U team and an 11U team, where they go on the ice together, and maybe they get paired up with a buddy, and they, you have a team party together or something like that, where the younger kids who are looking up to those older kids, they're interacting with people who they want to be in their spot one day. And so doing some sort of mentorship within the players, and that's something that I want to focus on a lot more next year with the clubs that we work with. And I hope that people can do that. And honestly, if you have ideas, like anybody that's listening right now, or there's something that you do within your organization, shoot me a DM or email me. And I would love to hear them, because I think that mentorship is everything, man. The more that I do stuff, the more that I'm seeing the benefit and just the absolute gold of what mentorship can do.
I mean, there's zero doubt about that in my mind. I mean, it's so obvious. Mentorship, it's so obvious. I didn't realize how big of a thing it was really until I got to juniors, and like, you go through some hard times, and then you see somebody who's been through those hard times and can articulate and know exactly what you're going through, and then be like, trust me, like, this doesn't really matter, or focus on this, or try this. This helped me. And it's like, whoa, the light's back in my life. Like, oh my God, like, I was making this big deal out of nothing, and like, all I had to do was this. And then just guys helping me with that through the hard times I went through my first year in juniors was like, okay, like, I want to do this for every single guy that's younger than me, so I can just help them through these times and know it's not the end of the world. I had a young kid at TPH St. Louis come up to me today and just be like, Bex, like, can I talk to you like after workout? And he was like kind of embarrassed. And he brought me to the side, and he was just like, I keep making mistakes on the ice. And I'm like, who's the highest paid guy in the NHL? I don't know. It was like, he's like, whoever it was, Austin Matthews. I don't know. I'm like, what's he make? 11, 12 million a year? How much do you make? Oh, $0. Oh, you're paying a bunch of money to play. Okay. Well, that guy makes a mistake on almost every single shift, in every game, in every practice, and he's getting paid 12 sheets. You're paying almost 12 sheets to play the game. Of course you're going to make mistakes, dude, and helped him through that. And, and it's like, and like, immediately you could see, like, he felt lighter. Like, he must have made a bunch of mistakes last night in a game or practices and hasn't stopped thinking about it. And because I've been there before as like a mentorship role, like, and immediately you could see the relief on his face and his body language, how he was standing and his posture. Like, mentorship is everything.
You know what the funny thing about that is, Vex? You talk about like the mistakes on the ice. So in last year's NHL season, here's the top 5 as far as turnovers, or what they call giveaways. Number 5, Connor McDavid.
Hilarious. There you go.
Number 4, Matthew Barzal. Number 3, Leon Draisaitl. Number 2, Nikita Kucherov. And number 1, David Pastrnak.
Wild.
Most giveaways in the NHL last year.
Ooh, I'm going to tell them that tomorrow at school.
Note to the coaches, right? Like, let your kids make plays, man. Like, they have to understand how to make plays and get the confidence in doing that. If you're always telling them, no, you're not developing smart hockey players or confident hockey players at the end of the day. So just, those 5 are pretty good.
Love it.
Pretty good. Okay. Lastly, number 10. Transparency is everything. Like, if you want to run an efficient organization and create buy-in and decrease the amount of, just kind of gray area problems that so many youth hockey organizations go through. Like, be transparent with everything that you do. And again, that starts at the beginning of the year. And make sure that especially the leadership of the club and the coaches are living out on the things that you say you're going to do. So, that's one of the biggest kind of like, when I get messages from parents or from coaches that are struggling, a lot of it is honestly due to like a lack of transparency, and they don't know where they stand and they don't know what to do, because the club, like, they feel like their club is kind of like back channeling different stuff and politics and all that, which does happen for sure. But like, the more transparent you can be as a club with how you do things, the less fires you're going to have to put out. And put everything up on your website, all your codes of conduct that you make people sign, like all your processes for tryouts. That's a big one where transparency is really important. Honestly, man, like, the more transparent you are, the less fires you're going to have to put out at the end of the day. And the better satisfaction you're going to have with the families within your organization, because we know as players, but it's with everybody. Like, the worst thing is to feel like you're being left in the dark. It's like the worst thing in life is the fear of the unknown. And the less that you can have that with your families and the organization, like, the better satisfaction they're going to have, the less you're going to have people club hop, and the less fires you're going to have to put out. Transparency, man.
The more efficiently your club will run, because you can make decisions right away, because there's not all these back channels and politicking and whatever. It's like, no, we know this is what the standard, everybody's bought in because they're here. Okay, we're going to make this decision. Boom, let's move on it right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes these clubs, like, it takes 6 months to make a decision about anything. And it's like, what? Why? Like, I don't understand this. Like, let's right now, let's make the decision right now so we can get better right now. I do not understand it. Like, it drives me banana land sometimes.
No question, man. So at the end of the day, hopefully, I don't know, like, hopefully these are things that can help, the people in youth hockey to help their organizations be a little bit better, man. And at the end of the day, that's what we do here with the Hockey Think Tank, with this youth hockey organization blueprint, and working with those 4 pillars: the club leadership, the parents, the coaches, and the players. And reach out to me, reach out to us if there's any way that we can help. If you think that we can help your organization in different capacities with a lot of the stuff that we talked about here today. And like I said, with this blueprint, man, like, we've learned so much from the people that we work with and partner with. Like, and the way that we go about it is like, we don't come in and be like, you have to do things this way. Like, that's because there's different ways to run a successful youth hockey organization. And so the first thing that we do is we ask a lot of questions. Like, literally the first thing we do is we give the board a questionnaire of what's your mission? What's your vision? How are things going? What are some challenges? What are some things you do really well? And like, we want to work with clubs to help the clubs be the best version of what they want to be. And that's different for different clubs. And so it, like I said, it's been a really cool learning experience. We've stolen a lot of things that we've seen other clubs do, and then helped other clubs that we work with to do those specific things. One of the coolest things that we do actually is every month we'll have a leadership call. So anybody from all the boards that we work with have the opportunity to come on this call, and we'll pick a specific topic. Our last topic that we just did actually was tryouts, because tryout season is coming up, and you have like all this information sharing. So like I said at the beginning, like, something that one of our clubs in like Minnesota, that what they're doing for tryouts can help a club that we're working with in Boston, or in Alaska with one of our clubs that we have up there, so like, just that collaborative nature of it, that's a lot of fun to be able to connect really cool hockey people. And so, hopefully this stuff helped. Reach out to us. One of the biggest things we actually have right now, and this is actually really, really cool, is we have like a referral program. So if you're a hockey parent, and we'll put this on the show notes at the bottom of this, if you're a hockey parent that like thinks your club can do a little bit better, or you want to provide some more support for your club, we actually have a referral program where you can go onto our website. There's a link that we have where you can refer us to your program. And so like it will put us in touch with a decision maker with your program, and then we can have some conversations with there. And so we'll make sure that we put that on the show notes. But I know that there's a lot of parents that listen to this, and if you feel like we could be a positive value add and have a positive impact on your organization, click that link and put us in touch with some of the people in your organization and go from there. But yeah, this was a fun episode, man. I love these ones where it's just the two of us.
Yeah, that was fun. That was super fun, and love the list you compiled. That was really cool, man.
Sweet. All right, guys, have a great week, and we'll see you on Wednesday for short shifts. Adios, amigos.
Peace.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. NHL and NHL team marks are the property of the NHL and its teams. Copyright NHL 2025, all rights reserved.